Guys, if you're a fan of the SLY GUY podcast, listen. You're wasting time listening to this. Patreon.com/SLY GUY podcast. Don't waste any more time. Get over there. For as little as £2 a month, you get loads of bonus content, early access to the podcast, early ticket release dates, bonus podcasts, vlogs, just loads of stuff. 175 bonus podcasts available every Monday. You know, not 175 per Monday, but in all, there's hours of bonus content there just waiting. Patreon.com/SLY GUY podcast. Guys, the SLY GUY podcast is brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Modest Beer is a beer that is modest and delicious. And if you want to know more about Modest, you can head to their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, where at checkout you can use a discount code SLYPA15 to get 15% off your Modest order. Go for it now. modestbeer.co.uk, discount code SLYPA15. 15% off. Get her bought.
I'm the SLY Guy.
Hello and welcome to the SLY GUY podcast. We're here again. The world keeps it turning. It's autumn time. It's cold. I've been struggling a lot with constipation. I just want to come straight out off the bat and talk about that. That's kind of where the podcast went straight away today. My guest didn't know what was coming his way, and there was a part during the pod where I had to just bounce because I have taken a cure of constipation, and hey, listen, it's quite the cure. So it's probably too much information. Hopefully you're not listening to this first thing in the morning, eating your breakfast. Maybe you're looking down at a bowl of Cocoa Pops thinking to yourself, is that? Yes, it is. Same consistency, same texture. Don't know if it's the same flavour, I haven't tried it, but you know where we're going. So I'm just giving you a warning about that. But other than that, I'm feeling good at the minute. You know, I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying what's coming on. I'm enjoying the fact that it's nearly Halloween. I'm enjoying that it's nearly Christmas. As soon as Halloween's away, we can start thinking about Christmas. Now, if you put up decorations in November, you should be in McGarbury. That's my opinion. I think you got to wait to December before you put the decorations up, unless it's during COVID, in which case you can probably put it up, and hopefully there'll not be another COVID outburst or lockdown again anytime soon. But in which case, don't have your decorations up unless it is December, okay? But something you'll not have to wait until December for is my introduction for this week's guest. I had one of my favourite new comedians on the scene on the pod this week. A man who's very funny. He's got enviable hair. It's a thick head of luscious locks this man has. It's Ciaran Franco. You know, he's somebody who's been gigging away flat out. He runs a few gigs. He's got his own podcast with Pete Giffen and Sean McAlevey, which is called Are We Podcast. Not like Are We Garbage, or with an OU, not Are We Podcast, because that would be weird if you're like brought them on the podcast every week and said, are you podcast, wouldn't it? You know, so not to be confused. But anyway, he's a real fun guy. This was good crack. We had some issues in the middle of it because of my bowels, but hey, don't worry. I'm feeling good. I think I'm looking good, and you guys just need to enjoy this episode with myself, the Booty Man, aka I was going to call myself the Shice King, but I don't want that to stick. That's why I laughed. Don't call me the Shice King. It's this episode of the podcast with myself, the Shice King, and Ciaran Franco.
I gotta ask your Instagram story today. Did you get loosened up, or?
Listen, that's a good way to start. For anyone who doesn't know, Ciaran Franco, first of all, welcome on the SLY GUY podcast. I'm going to pop this on airplane mode and just get going. Yeah, don't ask me that question again for the sake of the listeners and viewers. Did
you loosen up? Did the bowels open?
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen, I put an Instagram story out. This would be now probably a couple of days ago, and long story short, I've been dieting.
Yeah.
I've been trying to be good. I've been trying to shift weight. I've been trying to get in shape. And I've been tightening down my diet, like working on what I'm eating and just trying to be on top of things. And obviously, a lot of it, you have to get the protein on board. And I've been eating too many eggs, I think.
Like, how many's too many eggs? Like, I think 3, you're sort of like, I'm pushing it, like.
Yeah, well, I'm probably talking 6 to 9.
Okay.
Like 6 to 9 eggs a day. And I was getting up in the morning, getting on board. It was all good. Then a couple of days ago, I woke up and I was like, oh, why is my back so sore?
Yeah.
And I was like, it can't be. Like, and I was training and I was like, maybe is it my back? And then as time passed, like I was flexible enough and I was like, this isn't hurting. And then sometimes weird, like just sitting there was sore and I'm like, it's got to be. I was like, maybe I have. Obviously, the rational response is, I was like, maybe I have full kidney failure. Maybe I have bowel cancer. Maybe I just go straight to the worst things.
Dr. Google, like, you're like,
Yeah,
where are we here?
Terrible. And then I said to my wife, she's like, you probably just hurt your back. And I was like, okay. And then I did a big fart and it was like, I feel kind of good after that.
Yeah.
And then as time went, I was like, normally I'm a regular pooer. Like I'm talking, it's a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
Like it's a hobby, 3-4 times a day. Even if I don't need to go, I'll just go and sit in there and get something out, you know. Like a dog, if I get it, I'll just go. But last couple of days, nothing. And then today I got up to walk the dog and it was just sore.
Yeah.
Sore. And then just so happened to be in the chemist and I asked the woman, I was like, do you have any fibre supplements? And she was like, who's it for? I was like, this guy. She went, Consamine.
Big style, like, it's...
Yeah. Yeah. And then she goes, try this shit and give me a wee thing, like some sort of potion. And then when I got home, Catherine's like, yeah, she's a nurse. Now I don't know if this is the correct way to do stuff, so in case anyone's like, oh my goodness, and they're phoning her to get her like license revoked or whatever you can do, or like, I don't know what the nurses have. Is it a nurse's license? No, it's a nurse's.
Is it pharmaceutical or is that not a pharm?
That would be, I think that's the chem. I think, no, there's a nurse's something, and everyone's listening, shouting what it is,
Screaming at the camera, being
but
like,
it's not a fucking license. It's a nurse's practice, not something. Oh my god, it'll come to me throughout the episode, but I know it's not.
Hippocratic oath, just trying to
Yes,
kill you.
that's long story short. But she was like, we use this for old people.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what is it? She was, you just put a bit of bleach. No, she went, stick this substance that I got from the chemist. She's like, I'll make you a cocktail. Stick this substance in, pure orange juice, hot water, neck it.
How long did it take before the floodgates opened and the wrath of God came?
Probably, give or take, about an hour. Because she was making me shake and all, drink more water and blah, blah, do all this. But I was sitting watching Beauty and the Beast with my 3-year-old. And then all of a sudden I was like, there's...
The beast in me?
Yeah, there's much worse than this beast about to exit my body. So yeah, it's been fairly... I've got two poos since then. And now I feel like it's just rumbling in there. So I think we should be good to record this.
Yeah.
If I have to just bounce during it, just, you know what's coming and just take over.
I just sit in silence like... Well,
yeah, well, there we go. I mean, what you should do really is just turn the mics around.
yeah, listen to the orchestra.
Yeah, there you go. But no, thank you for asking. I'm feeling much better. I'm feeling relieved and I'm feeling good. I'm delighted to have you on the show. So thanks and
Very glad
welcome.
to be here.
Yes, welcome to the show. For anyone who doesn't know, your good self, you are one of the next batch, the younger generation, the people that we as old guys look at and go, fuck, I'm so old now.
Yeah.
Coming through. What was it that you started? What got you into comedy?
So I really wanted to sort of do it for, like, I would have made sketches with mates all the time as like kids, and then a lot of them sort of grew out of it and just stopped sort of being interested. And then,
Like gay and stuff?
yeah,
Like,
they were like,
what are you doing this, gay? What are you at?
Right, you know, if you're to the pub, like,
Yeah.
like, I was like, no, come on, make. We literally ripped off The Office. I mean, come on, make the No One Irish Office.
Yes.
And they're like, no, like, there's, you know what tits are, Ciaran?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, yeah, but you can put tits in a Northern Irish office.
yeah. Like, do you want to, like, we can invite girls to be in it, no? And they're like, no. So I kind of then just got during uni. I signed up to a couple open mics, and this is like a cardinal sin. I pulled out last minute, but I was in uni in England in Newcastle, so it was like blacklisted over there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good place to start, isn't it? I
Yeah.
suppose, because the scene out there's great.
Yeah, it looked like
clubs wise.
like there was the stand. I applied to the Red Raw and stuff, but I'd never actually done the stand up or anything, and I sort of didn't know how it worked. And then I moved to Spain for a year, and basically one night got my head kicked in, got my laptop taken off me, got everything, so I had nothing to do until Christmas, but literally write jokes. So then,
because go say you're just lying there on the ground being like, I should have gone to the pub.
Yeah.
These guys were right all along. Yeah.
Literally, like, the guy took everything, like my laptop, my watch and all, and I was kind of like on the phone with my dad being like, listen, big fella, what's the crack? I like getting a new laptop over, and he goes, yeah, hang on, the ferry will send one over. So I kind of had a lot of free time, especially days that like I wasn't in uni, so I started writing jokes, and then COVID happened, and after COVID I was like, it's now or never.
So that does seem like an unorthodox start. So when did you, obviously it was because I came through doing sketches at the very outset,
Yeah.
and kind of got bullied into trying stand up, and again I had major like serious balls. Like I had a lot of balls. I had more than 9 egg worth of balls a day whenever I started out, and it was only one bit that I figured out that made me keep doing it.
So like, say you had 15 minutes to start,
No, I mean, really, when I started, we're talking 5 to 7. Like, it was all there was, and I just remember going, like, I think an important thing when you start is having a wee bit of self-awareness to know when you're eating shit. You know, and I would come off being like, what the fuck am I doing here?
I remember I met you at my second gig, and it was a charity one for Queen's University, or not Queen's University, their events management course organised it. It was Geordie, Jack McGee.
Oh, yes.
And I remember showing up, like, Sean McAlevey and me met there, and basically he said that I was, like, shaking.
Yeah.
And, like, he was asking me, did I want a pint? And I was like, no.
Was that the one that was, like, up above, beside Starbucks on Lisburn Road?
Yeah. And
that wasn't bad in the end, actually.
But after every act, there would some woman would come on and sing, like, 2 or 3 songs from Titanic. And then,
that's right, yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Was that one of your first gigs? That
was my second. So my first one was Pav Newcomers Night, and then that, and the Pav Newcomers Night went well, and I figured, right, do the same material again. And then I just remember 2 wee lads playing beer pong in front of me, and then one of them sort of walked past and went, "Ha, God." That's
right. That was a weird gig, but I remember the ones that like, because that's the thing when you do events at unis and it's like organised by like unions and stuff. They try to fit so much fun as possible into a night, and you don't need all the other stuff. You know, it's too much to have to. There's too many things going on, and like if there's stand up and people, like, I find a lot of time people aren't honest about just getting the pints in.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you go to events, you just want to get pissed. You don't want to have to go, fuck, here's someone going to do stand up. Fuck, here's someone going to sing. Here's someone doing a raffle. Here's somebody coming on to tell us about like Troker. You know, it's too much.
So they'd plan like karaoke. Then me and Sean were going, so it was like karaoke, then open mic comedy, which was like, we were like, could we please go on first? And it was one of them ones where the first experience of not every gig is a gig almost as well, where it, like, some people just aren't here to listen, they're there to support their mates and events management.
Yeah, and that is, and you know what, all in all, I thought that, because again, I remember sitting there going, this is, and because it was that sort of event, it was running on a bit, and I was like, I just want to go home. You know, you're sitting there like, I just want to wrap this and get back in the bed, you know. But then I went on. It was all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
There is some as well. I think that like we've arrived at, and I think I've immediately went, what am I doing? And then they've ended up being lovely. Like, there was one we done in summer, and I were sort of worrying about it because it was outdoors and looked a bit. It was the middle of the day, and it ended up being quite nice. So it did. Like,
I'm trying to think. Were you at that one we did recently? I think you were, and it was in Antrim.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, really nice.
Because that was one. Yeah, we turned up, and I like when I got there, I went, oh, it's the police, but it's the alarm. But whenever I got there, I was like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. And then I thought it was going to be on like the main stage.
Yeah.
And again, I think if you give the people what they're there to see, they're all good. So if they go to an event being like, there's going to be stand up here, happy days. But if you go to an event and you want to see Nathan Carter, and I'm coming up giving off about my kids.
Yeah, they're almost turn angry. They're sort of like, what's this? What are they doing, forcing this on us?
Yeah, and then but that one was great because there was about what we'd say 40 or 50 in there, and it was just a nice way.
So I looked at them and I was like, oh, these are really old, or they're not. Just in my head, you sort of make.
And you are a renowned ageist guy.
Yeah,
these fucking old bastards here.
Racist, ageist, sexist. I think I try to get it all in my set, and then
I'm all for it.
Yeah, and my next show is going to be called Cancel Me.
Yeah, I mean, but if you do all that stuff, you just can't be. You know, just start your own platform, be like, it's grand.
This guy's a maverick. This guy's saying what people want to hear.
He's a savant, this guy.
The photo or the poster is going to be me, like.
Yeah, just like this. Yeah. Boys will be boys. There's a follow-up show.
It's going to be going, scratching the head, like, well.
But that was the thing too. Like, I think that's the thing that probably comes with maybe like doing it loads is you can never judge an audience.
Yeah.
You think you can, and you go up and you're like, oh fuck.
We done, like, there was a gig in Ulster Uni, and they said to us, I got asked to do it in summer, and I said to Sean again, I was like, do you want to come down and do this gig? And we arrived, and no stage was set up, nothing. This is about 2 weeks ago, and they went, listen, you don't have to do the gig, but we'll still pay you. And we were like, me and Sean were like, right, we'll mull it over. Had a beer, and I said, listen, why don't we just ask people, are they here for the gig?
Yeah.
So we asked them, and there were about 40 people there for the gig. Yeah. So we sat, we built a wee stage, ready to rock, and as soon as we were done, they fucking hated me.
Yeah.
They hated me for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people are all going to be up for it. And then I done 20 minutes, and they were just sitting there like...
But you know what the key to life is? See if you can... Or key to stand-up, this is anyone starting at any level. If the organisers go, listen, we don't have to do it, and we'll pay you. You go, thanks, and then you go,
You
I see it
run,
down the road. Yeah, you hit the road because that can be an awkward one. Like,
yeah, there was one of them ones with the bar manager before it started. It was like, "He's wanting our free beer. He's wanting our free beer." And as soon as we were done, he was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is the worst. Now, we have done a gig that shall not be named because it's been named before. It's called Grief.
"Yeah."
But it was the worst gig I've ever done, and I believe it would have been one of your worst gigs. Is that true? It was called at like the Break. Is that right in saying? Well, again, we'll not name the venue or the bar or where it was, but the Dalt.
Well, I remember you told me about it in September time, and I went, "Oh yeah," and then I got asked, Pete, was like, "Do you want to do this gig?" I agreed to do it, and then you and Butler both said, like, warned, and then I went, "No, it'll be grand," and then we went down, and like, I've never been shouted as much, like nasty abuse, I think is the word. Like, just no, there's a heckle's a heckle, but this was just someone basically just going, "Just call me gay." I was on stage, and I know I look gay, but I'm not gay.
But
he was like,
but it was I just don't think that. Again, I don't know what it was about it that it just sucked so bad. Well, I have a fair idea. I think maybe there's a lot of gear flying about. I reckon people were just like aggressive, and again, I think in certain places, if people as an audience think they're funnier than the act, and they think shouting out and like just being ignorant is good.
There was the World Cup was on, and we were just looking and seeing Germany 2, Spain 2, and I was like, I could be in the gaff right now watching that, cuddled up middle of November, like, and then someone just walked past and said something like, it was the worst heckle ever. He's like, "You should have taken a job as a window cleaner."
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, I know that it's like, all right, cheers, mate. You know. So
it got pulled at the break. Like, I think we just sort of.
And whose decision was that? Was it pushed by the bar, or was it pushed?
So another comedian was on doing, like, they were just basically slobbering back and forth to the audience. This was going on for ages and ages, and then it got to the point where at the break came and the guy was like, "Right, he's ready to start again," and then the headliner was like, "No, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
And then he just was like, "I'll pay you still." I think he sort of understood the crack.
Yeah, I mean, that was a weird one as a sort of someone who's been through it. It was a one that, like, I think I gave you a bit of a warning.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's like, you know, you need to let people discover for themselves what a real shit time is. You need to arm people with the fact that they're going to be gigs like this. So it's like, you know, chalk it off as a learning experience and kind of...
Well, yeah, we went to the Sunflower, me and Sean, after, and we were like, right, let's just go and watch some comedy, take the night off, have a couple of pints. And it was like the Sunflower, everyone was doing really well. It was like how a comedy club should be run, and we were sat there like...
But see, that's part of the problem. See, if comedy clubs pop up, you're always a wee bit unsure how the first one's going to go. Yeah. You know, it can always be like... But then again, if there's a venue and the desire from the people pushing it for the actual night to be good, it tends to be that way. Like, we did a gig there last week in Audacity, the Beersbridge Road. I had never heard of it as a place, and whenever I looked at the location, I was like, oh no, because I'm thinking not far from Dundonald, and I had sworn, I'm like, I'm never
they're tracking you down, like.
I'm like, I'm never returning. The same sort of clientele might be here. Got there, instantly saw the sort of vibe, and was like, oh, this is great. The setup was great. The audience were up for it. Everyone was like, I like it when everyone's nicely sort of squeezed in, and they were great. It was a really, really good gig.
Yeah, and they're like, they were just so, they couldn't do more for us. They were like, right, don't shut her down. Like, you give us the heads up when to start. Like, they were just so up for it, and like as soon as it was done, they were like, right, let's get another one in the bag and stuff.
See, that's good.
And they were like, we can look at trying to do this as a monthly thing. And I was like, that's just so easy to work with, and that's what you want, like.
Yeah, but you know what? That is the thing. And again, like, as long as they're sort of organised and top of the ball, because I ran another gig before in a coffee place, and it was great, went well. But then, like, there became things about, like, payment and stuff. It sort of was, like, taking ages, and it was difficult. And then I paid the acts myself straight away. I was like, boom, 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 there you go. And then I'm sort of, like, massively out of pocket here. I'm like, any chance? And then it just once that went, I was like, so you have to kind of, you know, as long as the new ones are, like, straight and good with you and professional, it's great, you know. And I think where that is, it's a very cool place. And I think you could have a pretty cool thing going there if you...
Yeah, I think we're going to try and get, like, really hash it out, because they've got, like, loyal sort of customers who came in.
That's what it was a different type of loyal that I thought we were going to go to at the start. I thought it was going to be Uncle Andy loyal when I got there, but thankfully not.
Because I got asked to do, like, it was a music gig before and there, and basically the guy would go on, play guitar for 20 minutes, and then they brought me on, and I figured, oh, this is going to be the exact same. Yeah. And then another woman was going on, and she was rapping at the end, so I was like, this is going to be really weird.
Like,
me
rapping.
Yeah, proper hip hop, like,
yeah.
and then I'm in the middle going, "What's the deal with?"
Can I just ask, was she like Northern Irish rapper? Cork?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
with an accent, or did she put?
There's an American twang on that.
Okay, nice. Because I would have liked it. I mean, the thought of Andrew Ryan rapping to me is one of the funniest things ever.
Cork and the North Unplugged. Yeah. Andrew Unplugged. The real Andrew reveals.
Straight out of Cork. Just. I mean, I'm going to ask him to spit a few bars, and he'll get aggravated even being asked.
Yeah, just.
Why are you making me do it?
Like, I was going to say, who's he doing for the Stars in Your Eyes? Was he's hosting?
Yeah, he's hosting.
He's the Dermot O'Leary, like.
It's a hard one to know what to do.
Have you got your tune set in stone, or have you switching in?
I am between 4 different acts I want to do. I think 2 I think I could do, and 2 I think I would enjoy. Yeah. So it's like, what are you going for? Do you have to do sound alike? Do you have to, do look alike? That can sort of mix it up a bit. And then there's a wild card that I think would be really funny. But then I said to Catherine, she's like, not enough people will know her, and I went, alright, fine.
Wait, is there a winner at the end, or is it?
I don't know how it works.
Lethal?
I mean, I think, to be honest, I think Shane's organising it. I very much doubt he knows how it's going to work. Yeah. So I just think it's an excuse for him to sing, because he really loves singing. So I just think he just organised something to be like, I just want to sing.
Get the shackles off on Shane.
and just go Unchained, Unchained. Let him loose. But yeah, so I don't know, but.
We done one in school, like a charity one, and everything was going well. Like, I done that song from Shrek. You know what they call it? Not Smash Mouth, the other one from Shrek 2.
Oh, which one was
Accidentally
it?
In Love with
yes.
choir all doing that. And then we were like, we're bound to win. And then this Polish guy got up and just went, everybody in the free one free. And you're like, the roof off, like.
See, and I mean, sometimes it's hard to, like, I think I did 2 ever performances in the school talent show. One, me and a group of my mates learned to play instruments, which, here's the thing, don't learn to do a talent. Either have a talent or don't. Don't learn it. So we did a Busted tribute on the night, which was a lot of fun, but again, we didn't win, and I was like, that's pretty weird. And then another time, there was a girl singing a song herself on a guitar, and it was that what was it? It was like was it a Fuji song? But yes, Killing Me Softly, that's what it was. And I just went on and went, one time, and that was literally it. What she sang, just the Wycliffe 2 times. And I wish
like that guy on the X Factor years ago.
Oh yeah,
the 2 guys singing. It wasn't me.
But yeah, the X Factor early auditions are some of the best things. The best television.
That is so humiliating for the people. Like, they have PTSD literally from it, and I'm watching it being like, but it was really funny at the time.
But then some of them are like how that works is they must see everyone and be like, you're average, bye. And it must be either you're terrible and or ridiculous, or
your box office will get you in.
Yeah, we'll get you in, or you're a great singer. I think, like, obviously a lot of it's like fixed in advance, and they like reach out to people who are like singer songwriters and be like, come on and
tell us your soul story.
Do a wee turn. Yeah, be like, listen, my mother's dead, and be like, weird, she wasn't when you applied for this. Like, no, I killed her. But
my mum's new boy is a golf, so like we've got some big things going there, like, and my cat's got alopecia, so
Yeah, like, I mean, I would struggle. They'd be like, I wonder, is there anything wrong with you? And I'd be like, I probably have diabetes, I guess.
I'd hype it up, just be like,
yeah,
I go and act a bigger weirdo than usual, and sort of like, shoulders up, creep in, like, alright guys, how's it going?
And then, there was one guy, I don't know if you remember him, I think he was Liverpudlian maybe, and he went in there like a wee bit of a jack lad, and then we got in there like, oh, he's a full criminal actually, this guy. Like, fuck, he's something lovable about him, he's a wee rogue, full criminal. And they're like, fuck.
I've seen this Scouser lad, and he was like, he's called Simo, or Tidy, because he's tight with his sweets, and then Simon Cog, which needs singing lessons, and he goes, cheers, Si.
Yeah. Cheers, Si. Yeah. But you know what I prefer? I prefer, like, Got Talent, like Britain or America, because you see all the weird guys on that, magicians and all.
There's the guys like I've seen and they've gone on, and especially America's Got Talent, and they're throwing the flames up in the air, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what gets you into that? That where you're going to sit in the house and go, no, it'll be class today. Yeah,
throwing fire.
Or did you ever see the guy on, it was like Ukraine's Got Talent, and it's the boy who puts the apple on his head, and his mate pulls back the bow and arrow, and it shoots and just hits him.
Oh no.
And the guy just goes,
oh no,
and drops straight in the ground, and the judges are like,
was that part of it, or was that just a fuck up?
You can still see it on YouTube, like, it's a complete fuck up, like.
Oh no,
but it's very funny.
My favourite, there was a guy who, and whatever way they'd cut it, it was like made to look like this guy is going to blow your mind. You know, like this guy is wild. And like it was a guy, he was an African guy, and they brought him on, and he was like, they were like, do you reckon you have talent that's going to wow the judges? And he was like, yes. And like, what does he do? And even just his turn of phrase was so funny to me. He's like, I'm going to play the saxophone with my natural voice. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah. And he went in, he just basically went and it was fucking hilarious. And then Simon Cowell was like, literally, what the fuck is that? And everyone else was like, it's fucking great.
Yeah,
so
get a through the judges' houses, like.
But like he, I think, got through, but it was just so ridiculous because you made him think, he's like, this is all I've planned my whole life. I've come from Africa to do this. My life's changing, and my life changed in that moment because it was great.
It's just like those people who do that is their life goal. Get on with X Factor, and like the feeling of just bottomless abyss of this Simon Cowell going, yeah, listen, you're not quite cutting the mustard.
But another thing he said, actually, it was so funny. Whenever when he spoke about Simon Cowell, he didn't call him correctly Simon Cowell. He called him Simon Cole, which I enjoyed. He was like, I want to impress Simon Cole, and then they were like, oh wow, Simon Cole, and I just loved that. It's really funny.
It's like one of the ones where, like, as a kid, I remember telling my mum, like, I fucking love to go on the X Factor, I love to. And then she made me sing Will Young Evergreen in front of all her mates, being like, does he have it? And I think her mates all kind of went, oh yeah, he has it. And then,
and how old were you?
Like 11. So that's the age of,
I thought you were going to be like 25.
25.
Yeah,
it was on the way here. It's just at dinner. Over dinner, I went, Matt, this is kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, but see, now that I have kids, like there's a bit of me that, like, I will make them do stuff in front of my mates if it's either amazing or terrible. You know, you'd be like, here, show them your wee dance, and then if you look at your mates like this, you know, or else you're like, that's good.
What are your mates laughing? Like, listen, you're gonna have to leave the house.
Yeah, like I think I probably have beef with them about that. You know, I'd be like, here, listen, the guys fuck up. Why is it bad? You know, because like my big one is good at stuff. My 5-year-old, despite what I say, is a talented child. My 3-year-old, not. So she's not. No.
Do you put all the energy then into the, like, cherishing the 5-year-old, being like, listen, this is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she's a bit older and like I just can't. I can't see the wee one doing like that ballet dancing. I just don't think I think she's like Wreck-It Ralph. I could see her destroying stuff, but I don't know if there's a talent.
There's a job on the building site for like.
I mean, right now she could do it, but like the big one has taught herself to do. And people are going to be out there going, she sounds like a right little twat. Like, yeah. She taught herself over the summer to do cartwheels. She was like, I'm going to do cartwheels, and just did it. And now she can do splits and cartwheels and all that stuff. And because I could never do anything athletic like that, I just make her do all this athletic stuff in front of people and be like, do that, show them what's going on.
And if I make laugh, check like, no, there's beef, like there's actual.
Yeah, I mean, it's not funny. If you're laughing because you're about to cry, that's fine. But she did a cartwheel, and then the wee one tried to do a cartwheel and just like did a Klinsman dive, but spiked the way down. I'm like, oh, God love you, you know.
Like, that's when shows like You've Been Framed came in handy.
Yeah.
Like, cost of living crisis now, you're like, right, here we go.
But see, that's what I miss those good shows. There's got to be.
Harry Hill's TV Burp was
like,
one.
Oh, it was great, wasn't it? Like, I loved that time on a Saturday. Just Saturday evening. Tremendous. Around dinner.
I'm a Celebrity, Harry Hill, X Factor, the jazz trumpet.
Yeah, oh yes, the guy with the natural voice, the saxophone guy. Yeah, he was, I think his name was J or K or Guy or Kai maybe. But tremendous.
I used to do this where I would get really into like game shows, and I'd be like, you know, we were a contestant would get put out of a game show, they wouldn't get the money, particularly on the chase when I'd be like 11, 12, and I'd get really emotional, feel really bad for them, like, yeah. Especially if they've got like a sob story. There was one guy on the chase wanted to get a video camera because his mum had broken his as a child.
Oh no.
He got like 1,000 and didn't get past the chase. And I remember my granny and granda's like proper tearing up, going like, no, what's wrong? And I went, it's fucking, I just want to come to get a video camera.
This, because you never know, like, that's something from his childhood that I still need that video camera, and I've unresolved trauma here, and it would mean a lot. And this, Mark Lebet, the beast, is like, wrong, have some of this, you know?
How do you not know who won the FA Cup in 1979, you prick?
You twat. But what I don't understand about the chase, and I had a chance to ask one of the chasers, was the vixen. I did an interview on radio with the vixen from the chase, and I asked her, I was like, so, like, what do you get for winning? You know, because there are people doing it that if it was me and I was a super genius chaser, I'd be looking at people being like, these guys deserve money. you know,
Yeah,
and I'll get a couple wrong or take my time, and but then she's just like, it's competitive back there with the other chasers. And I was like, no, that's not.
They're cold-blooded bastards. Like,
I know, it's like they're reptiles. So yeah.
Like, I know, like, apparently Mark Lebet, I was reading, like, he would, if he does lose, goes in and, like, wrecks the changing room after and all, like Alex Ferguson level her treatment. Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, for Walsh. It's like, because he did, I remember him losing the head once because Bradley Walsh took long to ask him a question, like, took too long, and he was like raging about it. But
what's that done for them now? He goes into, well, it's closed now, but he went into the box one night, and I paid serious money to go see the chaser.
Who?
Mark Lebet.
The Beast in the box?
He was in the box.
Oh, wow.
Like, I'm going to pay £22 to go and watch this fella.
So, what does it, all right,
he comes out to the chase theme song, kind of goes like, yeah, for about 20 minutes, and then going, like, proper shaking his hands, going, come on, and then, obviously everyone's blocked, Cascada Evacuate the Dance Floor's playing, the chase, every song they'll play, like, an old school classic, and then they'll play the chase theme song again, and then an old school classic.
And then he just goes...
Most of the time he's tops off as well, and he'll do
Is
like
he tops off?
He'll do like a circuit of what
The Beast?
Movies. Yeah, and it's this is a guy married to a second cousin, actually.
Yeah.
The guy that, but they made like a fortune from doing that and doing club appearances. Who's the other guy that makes a fortune? You know the guy you see him on TikTok, and he'll go on with like, Bosh.
No.
He loves the Chinese.
Oh yes, I have seen him.
Yeah.
See me say he loves the Chinese. Yes, that's what
Immediately,
made me remember him. Yeah, because I'm still like dipping it in TikTok a bit just to toe. I don't want to get involved. I don't like TikTok. I'm there. Ben, producer of the podcast, puts the clips on and stuff. I occasionally will view clips I'm sent, but I don't want to. If I get stuck in that rabbit hole, that's me done. Productivity away.
3 hours like that. Like I see, because you watch one video. I watched one video on a conspiracy theory, and all of a sudden I was getting like QAnon, Trump had the election stolen from him, stuff, and I'm like, is this who the algorithm thinks I am? Like,
yeah, and that's a very quick reminder of like either you need to change what you're looking at or not, because in the algorithm's just showing you stuff. You're like, oh no. Yeah. It's all Trump. You're like, oh no, it's all Jordan Peterson and Trump. You're like, ah, whoops.
It's like Trump being like, you know, never give up, never stop following your dreams and all. And I'm like, kind of like this guy now. There's something about this guy that's like speaking to me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like this is what I think about Trump. Now, I have historically enjoyed Trump, not as a politician, but it's just as a guy, as a classic guy. Like people are like, oh, you like, and people get so annoyed about like if you say anything nice about him. But to me, you should just quit the politics. You know, just say, look, that I'm done with that. Go on all the late night talk shows. Just give the goss. Slabber about people. I want to know what he thinks. Tell us about what Boris is like on the pints. You know what I mean? Do that. Tell us what's going on. Tell us.
Macron, I love to hear about. Macron seems a bit boring and sleazy.
Yeah, and what's that guy called?
Trudeau.
Yeah, fucking.
The guy out on blackface. Weirdo.
He's just fucking. He is weird. Go out and decide. They'd be like, he's a weird guy. He's a freak. You know, I'd love to hear that, and that'd be entertainment. Like, imagine Trump's one man show.
He'd be like Trump going to Edinburgh with the poster.
Yeah.
It
would just be him. Or the most uncomfortable thumbs up.
In the basement of a coffee shop at 12 every day. Absolutely sweating before.
Followed by Esther Christie, you know, there we go, straight on. It's, oh my God, but like...
Trump checking everyone in as they come in.
Yeah.
He can't afford. He'd be like, listen, I'm doing my own personal check-ins.
How many have we got in today? Oh, it's only 4, Donald. Shit, it'll be fantastic. The best 4.
Sometimes they say you played in honest too.
Yeah.
The best night of your life.
But no, I would love, and you know what? In all seriousness, he would be doing like probably the Opera House, or probably the like Pleasance, the big Pleasance courtyard. I'd say.
I think
like
I would
Bill
go
Byrne
mental if someone, please get up for your support act, Donald Trump, and he walked out. I'd be like, this is like, this is better than the real deal, like.
Because that was it. I went to a gig in New York to see Adam Ray. Don't know if you know him. He's pretty good, and I was a fan of his before. We were in New York just looking for something to do, have a night out, and like Broadway, hey, total stroke. So we're like, let's go to a comedy club. Let's see what's up. We were then just watching him. In fact, Larry wasn't even on at that point because he was headlining. But this is a mug, in fairness to him, and it would piss me off if it was my solo show. But the host was like, yeah, sometimes people just drop in to do stuff, and he's like, Jerry Seinfeld and all. What? Seinfeld just appeared and like did a full like our show, and then did a Q&A afterwards, and I regret so much. My question was like, such a nerd. I went, so do you have any advice about writing? Do you sit down and write actively, or do you just write when the idea comes? And he was like, I write every day. I was like, fuck, I should have. Oh no, the alarm's off.
There's someone came in there.
It's off. We have a problem with the alarm here in the studio, thank goodness. Either that or I'm about to get murdered.
I wasn't actually invited on today. I was kind of burgling. And
Yeah, just call you in. Like, you here for the pod? And he's like, yeah.
Take the balaclava off. But yeah, sorry.
But no, what I wish I'd asked him now, I was like, can I have a quote that I can use for my poster, please? And then he would have just had, he would have at least said no, you know, at the worst, no, and I could have just written, no, Jerry Seinfeld.
Is it, would you not be raging, but if like Seinfeld, say, like, you're about to do Ulster Hall and then Seinfeld walks out and goes, I'm going to, mind if I do support for you? It does a full hour, like. And
yeah, I'd be like, no, but I would be like, I need favours off you. I nearly said flavours there. Jerry, I need some flavours. Yeah.
I need to get Kramer back. And
yeah. Kramer's not coming back. Yeah. Kramer, you know what? That Kramer's outburst, I was not using the same vocab as maybe Kramer used that particular night. YouTube it. But I reckon I was close to having that level of breakdown at that terrible gig that I did that time. It's being like, listen, you fucks, you don't deserve me, you pieces of shit. But then I did, and I thought to myself, it's probably better to just get out of here with my fee and go home and never think about it again.
I remember you were talking about it on a pod. You said you had a week between gigs after that, and that's the worst feeling of all. Like if you got one the next day, you can kind of go at it again. Like,
yeah, like I did one last week. I was opening for Shane in the Opera House, and it just didn't go well. Like, it just wasn't. I don't know. I feel like I ended up having a meeting that day, like in the late afternoon on Zoom, and it ran way long. So like I thought this will be done half an hour. I think it was 2 hours I was on, and I had that like factored that maybe hour and a half to work on my set, figure out what I was going to do. So I had no time to prep. Got there. For some reason, I don't know what happened to me. I got something caught, like it felt like it was in my chest, and I could not clear my throat, and I was getting stressed out about that. And then by the time I went on, I was like, I fucking need to do something. And then by the time I was on, it was just not a tight set, and I was like, oh fuck. And it was like, it was passable, you know, but it was like, I knew that he's one of my best mates, so I was like, I want to do well for that side of things, you know, and not let him down. And I was like, fuck, I didn't do well there. And then thankfully I was on Lavery's straight away afterwards. So I was like, I went round on Lavery's, loved it, went really well, did some new stuff, did some sort of stuff from my current show, and I was just like, oh, thank God for that, because it was like, I'm going home buzzing, like, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's one of the things, like, I've had times where, like, I've had a really good one to start, and then I've done a second show, and then it's been, like, terrible, and it's been the opposite. Like, Edinburgh, when I went over to do the BBC one, I done like 3 gigs on one in the afternoon, really didn't go well. Done the BBC one, went decent, I was like, happy days. And then I done a late night show, went terrible. And I left instead of just leaving it at the BBC one and being like, I had a nice experience today. I was like, no, try one more set. And then I left Edinburgh after one day in my head being like, I didn't enjoy that at all. Like,
see, I could definitely like, I think now, I remember it affected me way more. Like, now it'll piss me off. Like, see if you have a real stinker. Like, I've done that gig in Dundonald. I did a previous one in Dundonald that was an absolute stinker as well.
There's Dundonald where comedy goes to die.
I know. I tell you what, and since then I'm like, I'm not going near there again. Now I've done one gig there since, but it was a private at a hotel, and it was okay. You know, for what a corporate was, it wasn't bad. You know, I enjoyed it. Got some laughs. Again, when you go to those big dues, people are like, can you just not be doing stuff? Can we just want to have pints? You know, it's like,
so they want to. Do you have to do your? Obviously, you do your time, but like you're kind of.
Yeah, but the thing about it was, but I went there and it was like, I was there for the dinner, and the guy running it was like, you have to come to the dinner, and I was like, I'd rather just, you know, come to my set. No, you have to come to the dinner, and you have to wear a suit and all. I was like, okay, and I thought I knew a couple of people at it, so that he'll seat me with them. Didn't. You're
just in the corner.
I was just at a table with these old dudes, and they're like, so what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm just doing a wee turn. And they're like, all oh, right, you weren't much crack at the dinner there. If you'd be, are you funny? Are you? And I'm like, well, you know,
we're about to find out. Like,
to some people, you know. And then I went up, and it was grand. But in that moment, it was like, oh, I thought it was going to be a stinker. And because my mother-in-law and father-in-law were there, and I was like, I can't. You know, the ones who are like, I can't afford to die in front of them and their friends, or else my reputation's ruined forever. So they're the worst gigs when you're like, it's reputational damage out there. It's like, whoa.
It's where I've had quite a few, like, in front of like family members, especially the first time my mum and dad came to see me together. Like, that was dreadful. Like, and I remember after my dad going, no, fair play, giving it a go. And I was like, that is the worst thing I can hear. Like,
cheers to appreciate it.
Yeah. And I went like, do you think it was good? No, it was. I give you a number out of 10, and please don't. Just that's not what I want to hear. Like, just
But the good thing about that is, and I like it, is whenever parents are straight.
Yeah.
You know, with you, not just, I'm not being homophobic there, but when they're like, nah, you know, it needs, because my dad would be very like, that's whenever you do get a compliment, you're like, oh, thank God.
You think that's, I've like had, one of my aunties is very like, she almost cutthroat, like she has no qualms in saying it, and like after my solo show, like I feel like I'll be honest, I rushed into it I should have waited a couple of years, and that's something that I've learned the hard way. Like I feel like the middle of it is, in particular, really I should have wrote better stuff.
But I also think too, like, there's a lot of pressure to do shows. Like, how long were you in when you did your first hour?
So that was a year and a half in, and in my head I was kind of like, oh, I've wrote this and this, but then some of it was out of date almost, because it was like stuff about COVID, and some of it was stuff that I wrote at the very start of my career when people were maybe bringing me on stage and saying, this guy's new, so the audience were maybe a bit more sympathetic or like eager to laugh. Well, this was like and I just spoke to my aunt at one of my uncle's birthdays and went, just be honest, and she was like, you probably got a lot of laughs because people knew it was your solo show, but she went, but you know, your next one, you'll write better and stuff. And I preferred her giving it to me straight, like. Yeah,
but that's like, I did my first hour when I was 30, so 7 years ago now, and I've done 5 solo shows in that time. It was kind of because I was probably in it 4 years at that point, and it was like, you know, I feel like it's the right time. Just did Black Box. I thought the show, I just thought it was the right time for it. And I thought the show was, I would say, fine. I honestly can't really remember what was in it other than it was structured around a letter that I found. So it was about a letter I found that I'd written to myself as a kid. So what I would be when I'm 30. So that was the thing, was like, you know, I called the show 30 Years of Dave, and it was just a mock-up of 12 Years of Sleep, and I just wearing the shirt and all, I'm like looking back on
the poster of the...
Yeah. I'll pull it out and show you later, like, but I was like, and then after that, I had kids when I was 31, so my first show was then after that, which was, I had way more material. See, once I had a kid, I was like, well, that's just kind of hard, and that was my first thing, was like, having children is hard, you know, and it's like, but also it's funny.
Yeah, there's like the blessing in that of like losing sleep in the nights, but you've got material from that and the struggles of it.
And that's the thing too, like I've seen a lot of stuff now about parents and stuff, and about how like, oh, having kids is all, it's hard, like, having kids is fucking hard, and I think people need to not feel guilty if they're like, this is hard. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, it should be, it's not easy, it's a struggle, it's still a struggle to this day. It gets a bit easier, but don't feel bad about yourself if you're finding having a kid hard, because it's a fucking hard slog. But if you're a stand-up comedian, there's gold in there. If you sieve it, you know, there's definite.
Find a few diamonds in there.
And but I'm going to show you something, right? This is funny. I discovered this week. I had to take a photo for my driving license. So my driving license was up, and I took a photo of myself just for the driving license. And I had to be like straight face. I had to be like no expression, dead in the eyes. Took it, put it up. Later in the day, the same day, I got a notification, iPhone memories from a year ago. I had got a year ago photos done for my role play show, so I'd gone to get them all sorted and whatever. And this is me a year's difference. Dark hair, dark beard, now bald and grey.
Like, you've gone from like a wildling in Game of Thrones,
to like
UDA,
enforcer. You know, I'll get Ben
to
put this one up, but it's it was, and then I looked at it and it's a tough year. You know, one thing was good. Catherine's like, you look like you're a wee bit of weight off the face, and I went, good. Yeah, that's a positive.
The eggs are paying off.
The eggs are working now. I'll never shit again, but hey,
that photo was also taken today or yesterday before you've loosened up and had shit.
True. So that was the expression on the face was one of, I need a shit. You know?
Like, I'm down here. Like,
but, it was, so sometimes you look and go, oh, fuck. But that's the thing, I think a lot of, like, I don't know what it is. Like, one thing I do have a lot, like, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's stupid, if I'm honest. I think everybody filming everything is too much.
I think I filmed to sort of be like, right, this line didn't work or this line didn't work. But I think it was yourself that said to me, like, just, one, you'll burn material, and two, it becomes this thing of them, you'll encourage people to heckle you at your own show almost, because they're like, oh, this is a crowd work guy.
But also too, like, I think when you're starting out, or like when you're newer, like, see, even some people now I see like open mic levels, you turn up the gigs and they're like tripods up and you're like, what are you doing to yourself?
I suppose more Cameron and Spielberg, and they're sitting going right and zooming in with like They look like anal beads. Those.
Yes. Listen, I have those, but they're not for filming. But
there's filming involved.
Listen, in fact, I need them right now. Currently, they would do me a solid. But I think it's just like, because I look back to my first few sets, and I don't know what it was. Obviously, you have to have a degree of like, not arrogance maybe, but a self-confidence to know there's something in it. And I remember starting out, and I knew I had something. I knew I could figure something out. But for the longest time, I did not enjoy it. Like the first few, like I only did it because I got bullied into it by Shane, Mickey, and Sean. We're like, you should do it. You're fun. I didn't see what they saw at the start until I wrote one bit. I remember the first bit I ever wrote was the bit that I did to close Audacity with, the bit about the going to the doctor.
Oh yeah,
that was my first ever bit. Now it's changed a wee bit and become a bit tighter over time, but that was the first time I was like, there's a bit. And I think if I were to watch my sets back, and like, it was fine, it was passable, and I'm looking for something in that to put out, you're still going to be putting kind of average, below average stuff out, and it's like, there's no need for it yet, keep it all, hone it down, like even go back over old stuff. Like I've looked back over old jokes and gone, can't figure that out, and then go, there's this bit, and it's like, if you've put it out there, you can't do that, So
yeah,
I
as
think
soon as
like,
it's out, you're like,
yeah,
because I was putting out like wee clips of like, right, here's 2 lines here, or here's 2 lines in my set here and stuff, and then that'll get me a couple of followers. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not in it for you're in it because I want to write an hour's show, and that's probably what I was sort of raging at myself after doing. I was like, I've got a cool name because my mates, because I'm just sort of odd at times, they call me a mooncat. I'm like, I've got a name, I've got a show idea, and then I kind of came away from it on the night being like, because the support act's all class, the MC class, but in my head I was just like, I should have just waited and worked on the material.
But you know what too, though, part of that as well, it's like it's a big learning experience, so don't be coming out of it going, oh fuck, I shouldn't. You did it, you know what I mean, you've done it, you've got that experience, you know now what it's like. Even being on stage for an hour is a big win, like, to know, like, my last show was like big stress for me, because I couldn't, like, normally I'd probably like minimum six work in progress shows, like at the very least, to have done it 6 times, listen to it back, working. I did one in Madden's, which was all over the show. Like, it was all over the show. I knew the guts of what I wanted to do. There was no order to it. I couldn't figure out the closer, couldn't figure out anything, but I kind of enjoyed it. It was weird because I remember coming off being like, like on stage, Sean was like, that definitely felt like a work in progress show, and I was like, well,
cheers, mate.
It is like, but again, I knew in my head, I was like, I know what I want to do here. Yeah. So as soon as I got home, I just like stuck the earphones in. And was like, right, I know where this goes and blah blah. So then I did one more work in progress, and then I had the Wall Garden show, and I was like, this needs to be good. So I just spent the entire week leading up to that, writing, cutting, reworking, writing, and I had to go, right, I have to be ruthless and go, this has to go, and then I worked the opener and closer, and then had a couple of strong bits leading into it, and I had maybe one lull in the middle for a few minutes, but other than that it was pretty strong. And then I watched it back and it was an hour and 20. I was like, that's too long. So if I cut 20,
the middle bit that you didn't enjoy as well, and you can
and it'll be a tight hour, which I think will be, but again, it's always learning, it's always changing, and then some bits you'll do now, you might add a tag to it or have a better closer to it, or like I was trying to do a bit for years that I just like couldn't figure out, and I think it was only this show did I do it. Yeah, it was the pigeon bit. I do my closer of my
lifting the pigeon in the back garden.
So yeah, that one was like, that was a true story. So my dog had obviously got into my next door neighbour's garden and jumped on a pigeon, but she thought he was just running around her garden, and she called me and was like, Dave, there's a pigeon dying in my garden. And she was like, oh, thank God Vinny was in here, because if I hadn't seen him running about, I'd never noticed this bird. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, if Vinny wasn't in there, like, the bird would be fucked in the first place, you know.
He's flying free, like.
Yeah, it'd be grand, but I remember standing there and like, what actually happened, like, I kind of killed it, and I did. I kind of broke its neck, because it was not in a good way. Because he, and I was like, I
feel like a man here, just.
I know, but I say I felt like a man. I did it when it was fucking the worst way. She had like a spade, and I held the spade on its body, and like just got a broomstick, and whatever way I managed to maneuver the neck, I felt like there was a bit of. So I just kind of held it down, and like felt its neck go, and it was like, whoa. But then you're in front of an old lady next door. She's like, don't worry about it. And then she goes to me, can you fire that in your bin? I was like, no, I'm absolutely not. It's going in your bin. And I think I popped it in a way, like the RE compost bag, and fucked it in a green bin, and that was.
And now it's bird heaven.
Yeah, so it's gone, but it was gonna die. It wasn't in a good way. Like, so it's like it doesn't look happy here. So I didn't feel bad about it, but I was like, there's something funny in that scenario because it's an awkward exchange. I just couldn't figure out what it was, and then it just kept at it, saying it, dying on stage, not working. People going, what's he trying to do here? And I was like, boom, got a tie in, got an end, links the whole show.
And was that just for like the last year of like just practicing that bit, working it, and then?
But even though, because for a while, like, you're doing sets and you're like, well, you don't want, there's sets where you can go and try, and like you can try new stuff, and people like in Lavery's, for talk's sake, you always want to do well, but the audience is so with you that you can do the old shit sandwich. You know, you can kind of have good bits start and end, and you can throw a bit of new stuff you're working on in the middle, and most of the time they'll go with you. But you know, some places where you go, you're like, you just have to do a good set, and you have to have a tight, you know, just go and do whatever you need to do. But I could figure it out and rewriting it, going, why is that funny? Is it funny to me? And then even, like, I would always say to Catherine, I'd be like, is this funny to you? And she'd be like, no. And then sometimes I'll go, fair enough. Or other times I'd be like, no, but I'm not explaining it right.
Yeah, that's what I'd do with my flatmate. I would try and explain him, like, all right, so here's the idea. This happened here and stuff. And or Pete Giffen as well would be good at me. I was being very sort of cutthroat and saying, but that never happened, and the audience immediately know that never happened.
Yeah. But you know what? As long as you pepper it with the truth,
yeah,
you know
like
what I mean? It's like,
if it's kernelled in truth, like, so I was having a lot of trouble with a neighbour, and we had to call like cops on him. And the guy, I was like, right, how would I make this sort of funny? Because the guy is such a, like, I mean, his dogs are called Ice and Fire. Yeah. So like, I'm like, there's something mental in that.
Well, he's obviously a
Baratheon
or something. Yeah.
And I was like, so where is the joke in this? And then his dog bit my flatmate, and my flatmate's from England, so my mum took him to hospital. My flatmate came back and said, sort of like, I'll be fully honest, after 6 hours in A&E with your mum, I just kind of wish his dog had mauled me, like your mum's a fucking melter. Yeah. And I was like, there's definitely something in that, and just trying to work on maybe my mum being a melter in hospital angle. Or
but you could work on that angle and also work on the fact that your housemate said the bit wasn't funny about the guy, how weird he is, and then he gets bit by the dog. That's funny.
Yeah, that's a pretty, yeah.
You can be like, this guy was like, it's not funny. Yeah, you know what's funny? When the dog bit him. You know, that's,
yeah. It's like, laugh. He experienced it firsthand. I'm like, there's the truth right
there.
Yeah,
there you go. What do you think about that? Yeah. But again, if you're telling, because that was a big problem I had, I was trying to tell just true stories, and I was like, that doesn't work. So you have to like ham it up in parts, you know. Like, obviously I don't hate my kids. Spoiler alert, you know. I love them more than anything.
Notorious villain, Dave Elliott.
Yeah, exactly. But then some people are like, he's an awful dad. No, I'm like, I'm the best. Like, what was funny, by the way, I'm going to rant about this. I was at Rhythm and Rhyme. I go to Rhythm and Rhyme class every Tuesday and Saturday where possible.
That also sounds like a lethal night at Thompson's.
Yeah,
like
Rhythm and Rhyme. Rhythm and Rhyme night. A lot of guys with doobies, you know, is on the poster.
Andrew Rand, the rapper there.
Sorry about the malfunction there. Nature called.
The floodgates open.
Listen, it is what it is. We're back. For maybe, so we'll wrap this soon, but we're chatting about Rhythm and Rhyme. There was a dad at the birthday parties, one of the kids' birthday parties, and he was on his phone watching it with the earphones in, and I looked at him and went, respect. I like that you're just being yourself. It's ignorant, absolutely,
but uncomfortable. There's situations where sometimes, like even at family parties and stuff, I'm trying to be how are you doing? How are you? And everybody.
But this guy could not give a fuck. And then whenever afterwards I spoke to him about it, like when I met him a few times, he's like, he's like, I don't like kids' birthday parties. They're shit. And I was like, well,
it's most of them are Saturday afternoon. Honest. You're missing the 12:30 kickoff and stuff.
It was a good time. So you know what? I enjoyed it a lot. And speaking of, I'm going to let you go because I don't know how much memory's left here. I don't know how long my stomach's going to last, and who knows what else? Who knows what else the future holds for us?
No worries, I'm figuring I'll strap me on.
Listen, it's been a pleasure. So if anyone wants to find you, where are you at?
Ciaran Franco Comedy, and then I have a podcast as well. We need to get you on man as well. RB podcast, where we record in Madden's Bar just before RB Comedy Club every Tuesday.
So is that when you record before?
Yeah, no. Obviously Pete's got an injury at the minute, so we're just one of our co-hosts. So we're recording sort of around that at the minute. But hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be back recording.
Sack him. Get rid of him. Show him the door.
Do you fancy coming on and joining? We need another.
Listen, you need another big bald guy. Yeah. Listen, you know what? If it was feasible, yes, but then I'd have to leave every Tuesday, and you know, not fair. He might recover from. He might need to get his leg amputated. Who knows?
That would be. Actually, there's no. They need to get a lift in Madden's.
Yeah,
just like a pull lift as well.
Like, is he being a wee bit of a weakling about it? Like, is he being a wee bit of a gimp?
Originally, I did think, right, he's like, then I seen him, and I was like, holy shit, like getting onto the stage in Lavery's, I was like sort of holding my breath moment, like X Factor, Judge's house, just going, who's going for here?
But you know what he needs to do? Pull-ups. He needs to be able to move his entire body just with his upper body strength. You know, he doesn't treat the legs like
himself on, be like,
treat it like he's a paraplegic. Pretend his legs don't work.
Because he was meant to headline the pav, and he was like, I can't do this. Like the stairs are literally like right up, and I, oh no lad, no, that's terrible. And then I was like, I'm sure someone else will do the spot.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Do you know what? You know what? I have a book, that's worth reading if you're him. It's a book called Fearless by Tom Smith. In that, he would say, listen, your legs don't work.
Your arms still do?
Your arms still do. And if your arms don't work, you've got teeth. If you don't have teeth, get someone to lift you. You know what I mean? Get yourself up there. If you'll find a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, because you know Tom, who's a friend of the show, being on the podcast, he just knocked doors in Belfast for 3 years. Just knocked doors, and eventually someone answered. And you know what happens? When opportunity knocks, always answer the door. So find a way, Pete. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Drag yourself by teeth onto that stage.
Make it happen, and it'll happen for you. Listen, Ciaran, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much, man.
Now, what time is it now? Like, realistically, you could have time to go to Madden's and do the spot.
I might, yeah. Run.
Go, do the spot, do the bit we spoke about. We'll not tell you what it is, but it'll do well. Go and enjoy it. I'm going to go and spend my evening on the toilet.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, pleasure.
I'm the sly guy.